நான் கேட்டதான் வேணும், இது எனக்கு வேண்டாம். இன்னைக்கு எது போடலாம்? எல்லாம் ஏற்கனவே போட்ட ட்ரெஸ் தான், புதுசாக போடுறதுக்கு என்கிட்ட ட்ரெஸ்ஸே இல்லை. அவள் வீடு எவ்வளோ பெருசாக இருக்குது பாரு, என் வீடு எவ்வளோ சின்னதாக இருக்குது. எங்கள் அம்மா அப்பா எப்போ பாரு அட்வைஸ் பண்ணிகிட்டே இருக்காங்க. என் கண்ணு ப்ரௌன் இல்லைன்னா ப்ளூ கலரில் இருந்திருந்தால் நல்லா இருந்திருக்கும். இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஹைட்டாக பிறந்திருக்கக்கூடாது. சே, இருப்பதை கொண்டு திருப்தி அடைவோம், எல்லாம் வல்ல இறைவனுக்கு நன்றி செலுத்துவோம்.
So guys, we met Abdul Rahman and he was talking about the similarities, between Hindi and Kurdish language. Can you say the numbers, please?
Yek, du, se, chor, pinch, shash.
Oh, and more 7, 8, 9, 10.
Haft, hesht, no, de.
No, there. Wow, no, that's very good.
Kurmanji, Sorani, Palewani. Kurdish is a northwestern Iranian language spoken by Kurds in Kurdistan, covering Turkey, northern Iraq, northwest and northeast Iran, and Syria. It consists of dialect continuum with some mutually unintelligible varieties and has 26 million native speakers. The main Kurdish varieties are Kurmanji, Sorani, and Southern Kurdish. Kurmanji is the most widely spoken, and Sorani are the primary languages for written text. Kurmanji uses the Hawar alphabet, derived from Latin script, while Sorani uses the Sorani alphabet, derived from Arabic script.
Ek,
Yek,
Yek,
du,
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 se,
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 char,
chwar,
chwar,
pinch,
pinch,
panj,
shesh,
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 haft,
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 hesht,
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 ne,
no,
no,
de.
da.
da.
باوی می آزمانا ناوت پیروز به
ای باوکمان لآسمان با ناوت پیروز بیت
ای باغ آسمانی من، ناوت پیروز بودن.
پادشاتیا تبه امر تبه چوال آزمن اساجل سر ارده
با پاشایەتیەکەت بێ با خواستت لەسەر زەوی پەیڕەو بکرێت وەک لە ئاسمان.
پادشاه تو بادن، خواستنت که لآسمان انجام بی، لزویش انجام بودن.
نان می روژه روژ به روژ بدمه
نانی ڕۆژانەمان ئەمڕۆژ بدەرێ.
نان روزانه روز به روز بده پیمان.
دینت ما ببخشینه چواکو ام دبخشینه دیندارت خواه
لە گوناهەکانمان خۆش بە وەک چۆن ئێمە لەوانە خۆش دەبین کە خراپەمان بەرامبەر دەکەن.
گناهگانمان آف بکه که چین ایمش گناهبارگانمان آف کیمن.
و من نبه جرباندنه لمجه خراب خلاص که آمین.
مەمان خەرە تاقیکردنەوە بەڵکو لە شەیتان ڕزگارمان بکە.
آمین.
و نخیدمان تجربه ولی لشیطان دیرمان بخه. آمین.
Rojbash Havalan. In this first video, we are going to talk about the Kurdish language and the different dialects within it. Kurdish, a language from the Indo-European language family, and more specifically from the Indo-Iranian branch. Kurdish is approximately spoken by 30 to 40 million people in Kurdistan. But until today, there is no standardized Kurdish, but the language is spoken by Kurds in 5 main dialects. These being Kurmanji, Sorani, Pahlawani, Zazaki, and the last one is Gorani or Haurami. The mutual intelligibility between these dialects is so low so that the speakers of one particular dialect would not understand another dialect if they had not been exposed to that dialect earlier. For example, if a Kurd from Mariwan who speaks Sorani travels to Merdin where Kurds speak Kurmanji, he wouldn't understand them and therefore he wouldn't be able to communicate with them either. Since different Kurdish dialects are not mutually intelligible, Kurdish linguists have been divided in two groups. One, claiming that the Kurdish language is only one language and these named dialects are merely dialects. The other group, on the contrary, believes that these different dialects are actually different languages. They motivate their opinion by saying that the differences such as grammar and phonology between the dialects is way too much for being dialects for a single language. But one of the more interesting explanations is the one Dr. Sheikh al-Islam gives. He considers the Kurdish language as a macro language and the dialects as micro languages. But the big question is why there is no standardized Kurdish. The first reason is the distance Kurds have had with each other due to geographical reasons. Through the years, Kurds have been locked between borders of other countries. Therefore, linguistic change in one area has only stayed there and hasn't been able to spread itself to other Kurdish areas. Reason number two is the absence of the Kurdish media. Not having a media could be counted as a huge impact of not having a standardized Kurdish. What a common media could provide for Kurds is undoubtedly great. The Kurdish spoken by the common media could be used as a Kurdish lingua franca for Kurds from all parts. Our third reason is the imposed influence on Kurdish, which is made by the official language of countries that Kurds live in, such as Persian, Arabic, and Turkish. The number four and the last reason is the absence of the Kurdish state. A Kurdish state would mean a Kurdish educational system, which could, in its turn, revolutionize the Kurdish language essentially. Now, let us go through some differences between these dialects. Before we start, I just want to use the opportunity to thank the University of Manchester, which has provided a good and useful database of Kurdish dialects. For the examples, I've selected some Kurdish cities that use the different varieties of Kurdish. Our first word is mountain. As you see on the table, the Kurmanji-speaking cities use the word chia. The Sorani-speaking cities from Bashur usually use the word shah, but the Sorani-speaking cities from Rojhelat use another word. Words like Kiev or Cheo, which comes from the word Keo. But as you see, the residents of Kermashan use another variety. The Kermashani dialect is from the Pahlawani, therefore they don't say Chia, Cheo, Shah or Kiev. Instead they say Ku. Next example is I see Hassan. So now let's travel to different cities to listen to different varieties of the same meaning, I see Hassan. First we go to Rojhelat, Sna, where Kurds say Min Hassan Abinem. In Bukan it is Min Hassan Dabinem. In Shaklawa, Hassan Binem. Kurds in Bazid say as Hassan Duinem. In Erzincan, the meaning will be as Hassani Dbinem. The next example is I went to doctor. Starting with Dab in Bakur, the meaning will be as Chum Doktor. As we go to Khizkher, the meaning will be transformed to as Chuma Doktor. In Al Jawaz, it will be as Chuma Lsar Doktor. In Derik, it is as Chum Cham Tukhtor. In Sarseng, as Chuma Nik Diktori. In Hawler, it is Min Chuma Lai Duktur. In Ashnoya, Amen Roim Bo Diktori. And lastly, in Kermashan, the meaning will be transformed to Meche Mares Doktor. As you heard, there are some big and small differences between these dialects. Depending on the distance between the Kurdish regions, Kurds from different corners might understand each other enough to communicate. But usually the Kurds from one of the four parts are able to communicate with Kurds from same part without any obstacles. You should even notice that Kurds will be able to communicate with each other after a while without any significant problems if they stay together and listen to each other. With other words, Kurds will be used to understanding other varieties of the language if they listen to them regularly. If you want to hear more examples of these differences, I will put the link in the description down here.